Lulu, has she left? Is she out of the house? Good day, fish tankers. My spouse has just left the house and I feel it's maybe time that we address the issue. You know those YouTubers like KG Tropicals and Primetime Aquatics, where both of the partners are heavily into fish keeping. That must be something really nice. But most of us have a different situation. We have a partner who's maybe not as into keeping fish as we are. Now, fish are expensive, but on the other hand, so is divorce, and it's also a pain in the backside. The yelling, the screaming, all the resentment, the bickering about who gets the flat screen TV and who gets stuck with the brats. Or maybe you're just like me and you actually really love your partner, but you really love your fish and your dog as well. So how can you strike a balance? How can you get to keep both? Don't despair, because I have 5 ways to do that. Stick around. Okay guys and girls, so we tend to get carried away in this hobby. I don't know what it is, whether it's the hobby itself or whether it attracts sort of obsessive kind of people, but we do get carried away in this lovely hobby of aquarium keeping or fish keeping. Myself, I have a day, usually it's on a Friday, not always, and then I like to go drive around and visit aquatic stores or pet stores or whoever has a few tanks bubbling. It's just this little world that opens up in front of you. You develop a relationship with the owner. There's always something to see, even if it's just a new piece of equipment. And inevitably, you end up leaving with something. Sometimes it's a plant, sometimes it's a new piece of equipment, sometimes it's some new fish food, sometimes it's more fish. Or God forbid, you come home and out of a boot, here pops a whole new aquarium and you run into the house full of enthusiasm. And then you have a question, now how much did this cost? Have you paid the electricity bill? Where are we going to put the tank? So I'm just going to swallow the frog from the get-go. Number 1 is something you may not like, but we need to address this. And number 1 is stick to the budget. Life's not fair. That's why we should try and be fair. Don't go and spend the whole family vacation on a new aquarium. You know, drive a second-hand car, but don't make your wife cycle to work because you're buying a new fish tank. Just be reasonable with it and stick within a budget. Maybe you can hold off on the high-tech, low-iron, clear glass, ADA, light and CO2 high-tech tank, and you can perhaps just go for a normal float glass, low-tech tank like the one behind me over here, or perhaps you can try a nano tank if it fits within your budget. But try and stick within a certain budget, and if that fails, then maybe you've got to let your partner realize that there are things that can be a bit more expensive or that can be more dangerous or anything like that. So let them see you troll the internet for a skydiving course, or what I like to do is troll the internet and pretend you're going to buy a new motorcycle. That will immediately make fish tank keeping and fish keeping much more attractive to them. And number 2, of course, is try and be neat. Now we all know fish tank maintenance day. You know, we've got the filter all disassembled with the mucky parts in the kitchen sink. We've got gravel lying around. We've got dirty fish tank water everywhere. Eventually it looks like a bomb explosion. Just try and be neat. I like to use hoses, and when you're done, pack everything away. I like to stack the buckets on top of each other and put all the fish tank doodads and bits and bobs in the top bucket and then just hide it in the side of a garage. I also like aquariums on a cabinet like the one here, or my aquariums on top, that's on top of my desk, because there's space underneath the cabinet and in the drawers to hide everything neatly away. So try and be neat. That really helps to keep the temperature a little bit lower. Number 3 is simple. It's simply treats. Reward accepting behavior with all kinds of treats. It's very much like dog training, not that much different. Now, you've got to gauge the mood of your partner. It's like an electric substation. If you stand in front of an electric substation, it's not peak hours, it's got this low hum, it's just like bzzz. Now, when it's peak hour and those wires start running and pulling electricity, the hum goes up, it goes zzz. Now, your partner is kind of like that. You've got to feel the vibe in the air. As you get more and more into the fish, there's that hum, and when that hum goes up, that's when you know you've got to bring the treats out. Now, if you are a lady and your partner is a man, then it's very easy for you because men are dead simple. So girls, you know what to do. And if you are a man like me and you have a lady partner in your life, it's a bit more complicated because now you have to figure out what is their thing. Now, luckily, mine is not very expensive. She likes going out for good coffee, maybe for lunch or dinner or a little outing here and there. So it is a lot simpler. So basically, I've worked out the formula. If I come home with a few plants, maybe a small piece of equipment, that equals 1 plant equals 2 cappuccinos. That'll get me home clear and dry. Now, if I come home with more fish, you know, that's a little bit different. If it's an ordinary shoaling kind of fish, that'll mean lunch. If it's something big like a, God forbid, a discus or something, and then that's going to run into dinner. And if it's another aquarium, well, then we're looking at a weekend away. So you got to weigh those treats up and all your opportunity costs here. So that's number 3. And number 4 is the obvious. Make it nice. Keep your tanks nice. Make it part of the ambience in your home. Think about where you place the tanks and maintain them properly so that they add to the whole look of a house. It seems obvious, but we were sitting here in a dining area, and this is where this tank at the back of me stands, and one of my partner's friends said, you know, this is really nice, it's really beautiful, the aquarium. One has such a negative image of it, and I don't know if it's just a South African thing, but she had this image of a fish tank and aquarium is something that you find on the corner shop, behind the counter, sitting there in the window, green with algae and gathering dust with some bubbles going, and a struggling goldfish sort of swimming around that you can hardly see. That was her image of an aquarium. So make it nice. It will surprise them. It is something that you can eventually both enjoy, even though your spouse is maybe not that into fish keeping. And that goes a long way. Now, mine is never going to be into fish keeping like I am, but she has admitted that these fish tanks actually look really good, and it's something to look at night as well when you don't watch TV. And every now and then there's something interesting like a little fish popping up. That brings me to number 5, and that involves time as well as timing. Now, Veronica has been staying with me in this house. We've been together for 5 years, not counting the time before that. So that's like equaling the record of my longest relationship, although that one remembers that it was 6 years. She could be right, maybe it was dormant for a year in that relationship, but Veronica's put in the time into me, so I got to put the time into her. And part of that is also, before you even get there, is timing. Watch for that car to go out of the driveway. When she's going somewhere or he's going somewhere and it's out of the driveway, that's your time to quickly tackle the aquariums and do the maintenance, polish the glass, quickly trim the plants, and by the time he or she gets back, it's all done and they don't have to see the mess or panic for the potential mess. And the other thing is, you also, if we spend time with our aquariums and our pets, we also have to spend a bit of time with our partners. We have to do that too. So go out and take her for a weekend or take him to lunch. And in our case, let's just take the dog for a walk on the estate and off we go and we have a nice walk. So I hope you found this amusing. Maybe it was of some help to you. If it was, please give us a thumbs up. Remember to subscribe. And until we see each other again, keep taking good care of your life partners as well as our domestic denizens of the deep.